Sure.
Okay. So my first question was, who is Joe? Like, what is Joe all about?
Joe is a person.
Ideally.
Yeah, Joe is a person. I am a brand strategist and a consultant and an entrepreneur as well. I run a business here in Nairobi. We help companies and businesses build their brands and accomplish their goals in marketing. That, in a nutshell, is what I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long have you been in the industry for?
I think 7 years, but in terms of starting my business, I started in 2017. Me and a partner of mine, we decided to jump into entrepreneurship and help businesses, especially small businesses, understand a few things that we felt that were almost like set aside for others that small businesses didn't really understand, especially when it came to branding. So we wanted to be able to jump into that space and be able to help there.
How is it going so far?
So far, so good. Yeah, we are definitely making traction. We're definitely helping and we're definitely growing. So that's a good thing.
I like that. So I've come to know you now as a brand consultant, and for me, it's like your passion just drives you. Every single day I'm on Instagram, I'm seeing Joe post stuff, you know? So where does that passion come from? Personally, where does it come from for branding?
I think I started, my background is in design. I studied design in college.
Right.
Then from there, I went to a bunch of advertising and marketing agencies where I grew until I was not able to grow anymore. But in the process, something happened where I fell in love with just being a problem solver and solving problems through design and strategy. And ever since I discovered that, it has been something that I have dived into fully 100% and just committed myself and everything I do to be able just to help people solve problems strategically.
Awesome. I like that. I mean, I always tell people when I do the boardroom chat or when we're talking to executives or just consulting, is that we are in companies or we serve clients in order to be problem solvers. Don't go to a company or as a worker not to provide solutions. But so when you get into a place, always look at the solution that you're bringing to the table or you're going to find for the entity. So quick question then, somebody who wants to know the basics of branding. What is a brand, Joe? What do we call a brand?
Okay, so a brand, first of all, I feel like I always have to say what a brand is not before I say what a brand is. So there's a misconception that branding is about logos and identities and colors and wall branding and all that stuff. But to the contrary, that's not what a brand is. So a brand is a perceived idea about a company or a product. So whatever idea you have of Joe is the Joe brand. So that idea might be different from one person to another, but a good brand is one that has been able to have some sort of alignment in that perceived idea, like a crossboard. So if you think you're amazing as Alfie or your business, and someone else thinks you're someone else thinks you're the worst, to that person, the Alfie brand is that. And to you, what your actual brand is and what your perceived brand is disconnected. So basically, a brand is an idea. What your people or your customers think about you and what it is that you offer is your brand, whatever that is. So it's not your logo or your identity or whatever it is that you portray. It's the idea that is in people's head.
I like that. So you say what a brand is not. and what a brand is. Is there such a thing as a good brand or a bad brand?
I think it depends on who it's for. So a good brand might be good for someone and bad for another person. So, for example, especially if your brand is exist in the area of sustainability and protecting the environment and things like that, you might be an amazing brand to the kind of people that value that. But to the kind of people that are petrol heads and don't want to hear any of that, then they might perceive you as a bad brand. So it's almost like in the perception.
So good brand, bad brand. How do I manage, or how do I sustain a good brand?
I think first you have to understand what a good brand means for you.
Right.
And you should also understand that a brand is a tool that can help you to be able to accomplish your set goals. So you have to understand what those set goals are, then understand what a good brand for you means and what it means also for the people that you're serving. And then just try to be able to build on those three pillars, where it is that you're trying to go, who it is that you want to be, and who the audience or the people that you're serving are looking for.
So talking about that, how can, we're in a digital space at the moment. We're not at the moment, we've been in a digital space for a while now. And I'm anti-litter, if you're talking about, conserving, the environment and all that. So I'm anti-litter, and I always think stuff like billboards, posters are litter. And so in a digital space, things have evolved. Do you think those things are still, valid, are still supposed to be used in terms of branding, billboards and posters and stuff like that?
Yeah, so what we call that is traditional media. So there's digital media, which is what you've described. And then there's traditional media, which is your billboards, your newspapers, your radio, your TV. So I think there's a shift happening where people are starting to gravitate more towards digital media. One, because for companies, you're able to have direct access to your audience in real time and have real-time results in terms of knowing your impact. Traditional media like TV and radio and billboards, you can never put a number on the people that saw your billboard and actually acted on what it is that you are saying on your billboard. So the return on investment is almost dying, unless what it is you're trying to do is just create awareness. Then maybe billboards are good, but where the future is going, we're gonna start to see less and less of that. People are gonna start to find them more annoying.
I already do find them annoying. My take on stuff like that, Joe, is that when I'm driving, I would like to pay attention to the road, one of them. Then the other reason that I don't like billboards, that they're now being placed one after the other. And I'm thinking, whoever gets the best position gets the most visibility. And apart from that, we have to be obviously environmentally friendly. Outside that, I'm also just thinking, the world has moved. It's wrong to do this, but people are constantly on their mobiles, and whatever. If there's at the traffic lights, they're going to be checking for something. So the traditional way, I think, is really being taken out by the new ways, which is obviously the digital space, isn't it? So do you think that's the future now? Is that where we're headed completely 100%?
Absolutely. And I think if any company or brand is smart enough, they're going to realize that, because chances are people are looking at their phones more than they're looking at outside their car windows. So, and people want to be able to control what it is that they see and engage with. And with billboards, you're kind of forcing your attention to people. So we're living in an age of permission marketing. People, if they want to look at sports, they want to go where sports are. They don't want you to shove sports down their throat. So it's almost like control is moving more into the consumer, into the customer. And so that's where the world is going. So if you are a company and a brand and you are still leveraging on billboards and you think you're going to do that for a very long time, then you're going to start to see people not pay attention to those a lot.
I'm going to throw something probably that I've not really heard you talk about is personal branding. Is that something that we also need to consider? I mean, people have to personally brand themselves. How does one go about, personally branding themselves?
Okay, so yeah, I do talk about it, but usually when I talk about it, I'm talking about it in context of CEOs and business owners.
Right.
But okay, let me just talk about it in that sense, and then I'll bring it to everybody else.
Right.
So in terms of if you're a CEO of a business and you run your business, it's a good idea to build a personal brand. One, because you want to create a personal connection with how your business operates. So people connect with people and not entities. So it's easier for people to buy into your brand or what you're doing when they know you. So it's kind of like, if I can give my own personal example, there are people who would never care for my business, Crooked Space. But through me, they've been able to know what Crooked Space does, and in turn, Crooked Space have been able to serve them.
I say Crooked Space is your space. Yeah.
Yeah, it's my business. Yeah. So in a sense, you can see how, as a business owner, I kind of use myself to be able to bring focus to what it is that I do, and almost give credibility to what it is that I do. And the vice versa also happens. When people go to my business and they know that it's run by someone who is reputable as Joe, it kind of gives it even more
credibility,
assurance, or something like that. So in context of CEOs, it's a great idea to build a personal brand. Of course, there's some caveats. The caveat is, if your personal brand is too big, you might not be able to step away from it. Because, let's say people are used to, when they come to my business, I handle or I solve their problems. But when I step away and someone else is in my business, they're gonna feel like they're underserved, because they know Joe and they want to connect with Joe and they want to be served by Joe.
That's right.
So that's the caveat. But we can discuss any the advantages and disadvantages of both sides. But that's for CEOs. So for everyone else, it's also a good idea to build your personal brand, because that gives you leverage, whether you want to go to the job market and look for a job. When you have built a reputable personal brand that people know you, they know about you, they know, they have a very defined perception of you, it's easier for you to go somewhere and even ask for a bigger package, or command a level of attention and respect that everyone else doesn't have. So
it's important.
It's a good idea, regardless.
Yeah. So we must look at ourselves as brands as well, right? As corporate leaders or as employees, or you know what I mean. We need to look at ourselves as brands. So that takes me to. I know we've got to go, but talk about social media. Is that a place where people find themselves branding themselves personally?
Yeah. So social media can be a good tool for you to be able to build your brand. First of all, you can't just go in there and start experimenting. You have to be very clear about what it is that your brand represents and what it is that you're trying to be known for. And then now try to sieve in that message in everything that you do in your social media. Because if you're trying to build an authority around communication or HR, maybe you're a HR and you're trying to build an authority there, and on social media you're talking about cars all day, then you're not doing yourself any favors. So you kind of have to understand what it is that you're trying to do, the space that you're trying to occupy in people's minds, and then use your social media as a tool to be able to create that for people, or to be able to constantly tell people that that's what it is that you are about.
I've always said, when young people are looking for jobs these days, if somebody even asks me for mentorship, which I do, is I'll probably check them out on social media first, check their lifestyle, then see if I really want to engage myself with them at that level, or if that is going to be a basis of information for me to build on the mentorship as well. So I do understand what you say when you talk about social media. And for companies as well, would they leverage on social media for branding?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is a whole conversation in itself, but I think being able to subtract a lot from, let me phrase it differently.
Yeah.
Being able to just own a single idea and then communicate that idea in your social media. So if you're a business and maybe you sell a whole bunch of things, going to social media and talking about how you sell a whole bunch of things is probably not going to be a good idea. So you want to go in a singularity and build an authority in that singularity. Let's say you are a coffee shop. Just own that space of being a coffee shop before you tell us that you have products on the shelf, or before you tell us that you have other things that you're doing. Because people just want to identify you with one thing first before they can be able to absorb the other things.
Yeah.
If I give the example of Kanye West, if Kanye West started singing, came up with shoes and fashion and all those things,
at the same
people
time,
would have probably never paid attention. But he had to start with something and then build authority in that thing and then continue to introduce the other things.
Joe, I'm so excited to talk to you because I'm looking forward to having you in Zambia, actually. That's my plan, I follow you closely on Instagram. I think you get branding, you understand branding, I think you embody branding, or I don't know if branding embodies you, one or the other. But the point is, I love the way you're passionate about it, and I'm looking forward to more chats with you so that we can just help. There's a generation that probably needs to understand how to probably not even move, but probably appreciate the traditional way of branding and accelerate into the new space, the digital space, the social media space. And so I appreciate what you do. Phenomenal. What you do every day. I look forward to your nuggets. I look forward to your posts. So just give me your website and your social media spaces, platforms that you use, the name that you use.
Okay, so on social media, Instagram and Twitter, and it's Real Joe Mutuku. On LinkedIn is Joe Mutuku, and my website for my business, it's crookedspace.com. So there you can just go and check some of the work that we've done for our clients when it comes to branding. And
I like the name Crooked Space. Where did it come from?
So we are non-conformists. We want to operate in a space where we can be comfortable not being perfect. And so everything about even the kind of ideas that we hear, even from our clients, we're not trying to get them to be perfect in how they articulate. So they just come to us with their mess. They find a space where they can be crooked in all their messages, and then we can try to bring alignment into that. So we're not really perfection. We're not trying to chase perfection or even associate with anything that is related with perfection.
I like that. So I know you're gonna have to go back to branding. It's a Friday, So thank you very much for chatting with me, Joe. I will catch you on the other side, but totally appreciate your time. And all the best. Again, like I said, I'm looking forward to having you in Zambia. Probably we could do a few seminars with CEOs on personal branding and HR people on personal branding, and just people that are in the branding space, the marketing space. Because I think we are moving in times where even Africa is slowly becoming one. And so we find that entities in Zambia are now in Nairobi, in Kenya, or Lusaka, Nairobi, Johannesburg, Cape Town, Egypt. So for me, it's to get to a place where we start creating these synergies that bring about a platform that we can actually cross-pollinate. We learn from you, you learn from us, and we see how we can create these spaces that bring about development for Africa as a whole. We may start small, but ultimately is to help one another. So thanks again, Joe, for coming on, and see you on Instagram, and I'll talk to you later.
All right, man.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right. Ciao. Bye. Thanks. Bye.